Hi everyone, apologies if the lighting doesn't look how it usually does. Today is a typical UK winter day. It is really raining and despite this being daylight, it's so dark. This is the brightest room in my house and it is so dark. So I've set up a ring light. I've done my best. I'm really sorry if it looks unusual. We're going to roll with it. Today I wanted to talk about author newsletters. I think they're a really good thing to have, and in this video I wanted to talk about why that is, why lots of authors do it, because it's going to be a good thing if we're all doing it. So what's the point? And then I'm going to talk about how you can put together an author newsletter, and then the kind of things that you could put into it and how to kind of do your research. So let's start off with why you might want an author newsletter. So as an author, you are putting information about your books or about your writing or whatever it is that you want to say out into the world as a kind of marketing message. So predominantly that's going to be via social media. So you might have pictures of what you're doing on Instagram and stories about your day-to-day authoring. You might, like I do, make YouTube videos. You have all this social media content where you're talking about what you are doing. And that's, this content generation and letting your audience know what you have on offer, what you're up to, what's coming up. Now, the thing about social media is that you do kind of have to play into the algorithm, of course, and sometimes the algorithm doesn't favor you, and it can be a little bit like just shouting into the darkness. But also, I'm sure we all know people who have had issues with their social media, so where their accounts have been hacked or whatever, Facebook have taken issue with something, and then what you've created is gone. And all of that audience, more than anything else, more than the content, the audience that you have built and nurtured and have a relationship with, that's gone. Now, the issue, of course, is that audience is kind of owned by someone else. So the followers you have on Facebook or Instagram is kind of owned by Meta. You don't have access to that. You can't download your follower list, or you can't keep that information in a tangible way. And here is where a newsletter comes in. So people who sign up to your newsletter, they want to know about you. They have invested the time in maybe filling in a little form to say, yeah, I'm interested in what you're doing. And that might be because they sign up to lots of author newsletters, or they might really specifically love what you do and they want to know what's occurring. Now, the thing about that is that in terms of marketing, it's so powerful. Your messages are going straight into somebody's inbox. You've not got to play the game on social media of, well, they might not see it because it depends whether it's favored and all of this stuff. They are literally getting that drop in to their inbox. I mean, sure, they might just delete it straight away. I have a tendency every day to be like, yeah, delete, delete, delete. I'm sure we all do that. If they've signed up to your newsletter, at the very least, they're going to have a little scroll through and see what's in there. So it's so brilliant at building up a relationship with someone who actually wants to know what you're saying and hasn't just been fed it and goes, who's this person? I don't care. But also it's, really direct to them. And you can have access to that list, that audience. You can download, if you're using some kind of software, which I'm going to suggest that you do, you can gather that information. And so it doesn't get lost. So if something happens, if your whole newsletter system fails, well, you've got that list and you can set it up somewhere else. And I mean, that is so powerful to maintain that audience without any fear, as it were, of it just disappearing. So you have people who are interested in you, you've got a really direct line of access to them, and you're not going to accidentally somehow lose them. I mean, it's brilliant. Why wouldn't you want a newsletter? Well, for me, when I first set up my newsletter, when I was thinking about it, I did feel a bit awkward. And sometimes I still kind of think, oh, does anybody really care? And I think you can get that imposter syndrome. And I think when your audience is quite small as well, you can think, oh, like, I'm spending this time doing this, and does it have the value that I hope it does? And my answer is yes. Yes, it does. Keep going with it. And it very, very slowly, it's a slow build. And then you have this thing where if you nurture that email list, if you have an ebook or you have some kind of call to action, you want people to interact with something or share something, or you want to let them know about a course or a product, it's going straight to them, and they care. It has so much value. It is worth the work that you put into it and the imposter syndrome times. It really is. So now that we've established that having a newsletter is a good thing, and I know some of you will have come to this video already knowing that and wanting to make a newsletter, and you're like, yeah, I know. Let's get to the bit where you tell us all of the information about creating a newsletter. So let's just accept at this point we all know it's good. Now let's get on with how do we do it. Now, I personally use MailChimp. This video is not sponsored by them. That's just who I use. And I have multiple newsletters, so only one as an author, but I write newsletters for other things, and I use MailChimp for all of them because I get on with it. If you want to have a look at your options, all you need to do is go into a search engine and type in newsletter hosting and see what the options are. Most of them, or if not all of them, have some kind of free setup, and that's what I have. So you can use them for free up to a certain point. I think you get to a certain level of audience, and then you're going to need to pay for them to sort of keep all of that information. And you can also pay for premium aspects if you want to. So things like sometimes maybe, let's say, scheduling based on when your audience are the most active, that kind of thing, you might have to pay for. There's little features that could be premium. I have a free MailChimp thing going on. So I think the thing to do is look at the different options, see what they offer and see what might suit you. But for me, MailChimp works fine. And the way that it works is that you set up your account and then you set up a landing page. So that is where anyone who wants to sign up to your newsletter is going to go to and pop their email address in and any other data that you're collecting for whatever reason, their name or whatever. And if you want to see mine, you can go onto my website, emmarosenbooks.co.uk, and somewhere on that front page, it will say, sign up to my newsletter. If you click on that, there's my landing page. Sign up if you want to. And you can have a little message on there, you can have pictures, whatever you want. So when they put their email address in, then they will be receiving your emails in whatever frequency you do. So I do my newsletter once a month, but you might do something different. I think it's important to let them know what to expect, because they might not want a daily update, or they might not want whatever it is. Give them an idea of what it is that they can expect so that they are subscribing to something they would like. They don't get annoyed with you. Again, we are nurturing this list. We love them. We want to make sure they are happy with this whole experience. Once your landing page is set up, you can then start producing or creating your newsletters. So in MailChimp, you have like a template or multiple templates. You can decide how you want it to look, if you want it to be like on a coloured background, and if you want images and columns and all these things, and you can set up like a standard header, or there's tons of stuff you can do. And so design it however you want. I'm not going to show this as a tutorial like I have done with other things, because firstly, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, and secondly, I think that there are so many different options that just use the one that works for you and work through it step by step and design it how you want, because it's just going to depend. It's going to depend on what you like and how you want it to look, how you want to present yourself, the kind of work that you write. You know, do you want something like really dark because you write horror? Whatever. So you can set everything up how you wish. And then you have sort of various functions within creating the newsletter to, you know, have hyperlinks. So where you could say click here, and the here is a hyperlink, or an image can then click through to something. You can kind of, you know, make it fairly interactive and neat and professional. So I think rather than, you see, your other option is to collect email addresses and email them from your your just email. And that's not going to look pretty and have all the nice images, and it might come up different ways for different people. It's just not as attractive. If you use something like MailChimp, it has those design elements, those sort of interactive type bits. And it also will be formatted so that whether they're on a laptop or on a mobile device, it's appropriately formatted. So I think using some kind of program is a good idea. And essentially, that's it. You produce your newsletter with whatever frequency it is. So mine goes out around about the 1st of every month, and I put it together, and then I can schedule it if I want, or if I want to just press send, I can do that too. There's tons of stuff that you can do or not do as you so wish. So let's get into what you might include in this newsletter. I know I've kind of glossed over how to do it, but as I say, there are so many different programs. They kind of function in a similar way. So have a look, try it out. You can always try it out and then get rid of it because you go, I don't like that one, I'm going to try another one. So have a play and see what works and see what you can make. When you're ready, obviously you then share your landing page, get some people to sign up, and then from there we're in and we're creating our newsletter. Actually, before I get into what to include, if you are in the UK, and I believe in the EU as well, we have laws. I'm sure other countries have laws around this as well, but we have quite strict data monitoring, data collection laws in this country. So we have GDPR. If you are collecting people's data, and which you will be for a newsletter, and you are sharing external links and things like that, you have responsibilities around what you're doing with their data and keeping it safe. That's the nice thing as well about something like MailChimp, is that you're not at any risk of like mishandling data, if you see what I mean. You need to let people know that you will handle their information with respect, and it needs to be set up so it's an opt-in, so they have to go to the landing page, they have to fill in their details rather than an automatic ad. And you also need to make sure that they have the opportunities to unsubscribe, which I believe on MailChimp is in every single newsletter at the bottom, so they can go, actually, I'm bored of her, unsubscribe. Have a look. I will link below the rules around GDPR. Sometimes you have to pay, because if you are holding people's data, so it depends on what you're doing, what you're holding, how big your company is, but you may have to pay a fee. Make sure you're compliant, and if you're not sure, they are so helpful. I can't remember what the organisation is called that you have to go through. It's like it's the ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office. I knew it started with an I. I will link them below, but they are really helpful. So if you're not sure, I'll link some information, and I'll link MailChimp as well, of course. I will link some GDPR stuff. Have a look, check that you're compliant, see if you need to pay a fee. If you're not sure, phone them. They are so helpful. But do look into your data collection and data handling rules wherever you are, because you need to be compliant. And of course, we want to treat people's data with respect and not like have any issues around leaks or mishandling or anything. So check that. Right, what do we include in a newsletter? So you've collected your first sign-ups, and you're going to put your first newsletter out. The answer, in a way, is whatever you want to. And what I would suggest is that it could be helpful to sign up to some newsletters to see what other authors do. So sign up to the newsletters of authors that you love or authors that you know. Yeah, see what's out there, see what they're doing. I think there's a bit of a mixture, and different people do different things. Some people will do something similar to me, so I will put what I've been doing over the last month, so any events, or sometimes I put personal bits. If I've been away, I might share a holiday photo, or I've, had something interesting go on in my life, then I will share that. So I have like a big section of what I've been up to. I will then share anything that's sort of coming up, if there's an event or a book release or anything like that. So people can see what they might like to get involved in. And then I also share my videos for that month. So I put the thumbnail and you can click to watch it if you missed it. And then I also have a section where it's like, you can buy my books here and you can click. If I've got any kind of deal, then I share that. And if there's, you know, a new book launch or anything that I want my audience to know about, I will share. Or if I've got some kind of call to action, like it would be really great if you could review this book or those kinds of things. Sometimes I might share another business. It might be quite subtle. I also might share kind of, I guess, businesses. That could be for affiliate reasons. I do hardly any of that, but some authors will have lots of affiliate links to this, that, and the other. I might share a business that I'm working with or somebody, just something I've come across that I want to share. I used to put books that I've been reading and links through to those books. You know, it's kind of whatever you want to share, but some authors might share little bits of writing. Some might have a specific thing that newsletter is for, and you are signing up for, let's say it's like a tip a day or a poem a week or whatever. It could be something specific where they are sharing a particular bit of content and then you'll get the information as well. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. I think some people's newsletters are pretty personal. Mine, I feel like, is fairly sort of like an update. This is what I've been doing. This is what I'm going to do. Here are my books. Thank you. You know, that's mine. But other people theirs might be far more kind of like an ad or like a shop, like here's this book and here's this review and here's and much more like less personal, chatty and more markety. So it really depends on what you're looking for and whether, I guess, the kind of audience that you want to nurture. I like having a sort of fairly chatty and friendly audience, if that makes sense. And I love getting emails back from my email list, and on my videos and things I like having comments and stuff. So I'm kind of encouraging conversation and interaction, and I don't mind sharing certain personal things and being who I am, if that makes sense. Other people might be a step further back or a step more forward. So it does depend on how you feel, what you want to share, how you want your newsletter to come across. And if you are really just treating it as a like, hi guys, this is what's occurring, or you're more kind of looking at this is a very markety kind of a thing. And all of those different options are fine. And as I say, I would suggest signing up to different ones, and that would include really big name authors to see what they do, because theirs will be far more, there's this event and that event and you can get tickets to this, and there's this book and this is back in print and there's this version of this. It will be far more like that, whereas you might find smaller authors who are kind of writing their own rather than those bigger ones might have a team doing it, are going to be far more sort of chit-chatty. And you can share random stuff. You might want to have like a, I don't know, gin of the week, or you might want to have like a joke every month, or anything that is like a thing you love. Like maybe you, I don't know, love candles and you have like your top candle recommendation. Just whatever you want that you feel kind of endears you. I mean, it shouldn't, that kind of feels icky, like you're doing it on purpose, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Like, my audience know that I'm a candle lover, so every time I'm going to make sure I mention a candle. Do you see what I mean? You're kind of marketing who you are. So I'm marketing, I'm chatty, this is what I'm up to, because I feel like that's my persona. If you look at my videos, they include a lot of who I am and are sort of quite chatty. So that's what I do. You have to kind of be true to yourself, I think, and it needs to reflect you. So you can be as businessy and professional as you want. You can be as silly and frivolous as you want, and as creative as you want. But I do think that signing up to a load of newsletters and seeing what people do will help to give you some ideas of like, oh, actually, I could do that. Now, personally, I think my style changes. Every now and again, I might get rid of something that I had on my newsletter or bring something in or have a slight change in style. I had a period where I used to ask lots of questions because I was inviting response. I've moved away from that style. It's not really for any reason other than it doesn't really feel natural to do. So you can change up your newsletter. You can do it different ways if the way you were doing it doesn't feel right, or you've changed, or you want to approach it a different way. People can subscribe and unsubscribe. That's fine. Also, you could change who your newsletter is with. You can gather all of those email addresses and put them into a new newsletter situation. That's fine. You can move from place to place. As long as, again, you are not signing people up to something that they did not sign up to, if that makes sense. Now, the last thing I wanted to say, I thought this would be such a quick video, but I feel like I've been talking for ages. Sorry if I have rambled, like we're all surprised that that's happened. The last thing that I wanted to say is just regarding encouraging people to sign up to your newsletter, because newsletters are a good thing. We want people signed up to it, so we want to let people know that it exists. So mine is on my website, and it's also linked in my social media link tree. You can find it in a few places. Every now and again, I will do a post on social media saying, did you know I have a newsletter? Here's where you can sign up. It'd be great to have you. I don't do that as often as I should, but it's a thing that you can do and that I should do more. Also, if I'm at an in-person event, then I will have a sheet out. Now, be careful with having like a list where people write down their name and email address. A couple of reasons. First reason, people's handwriting is dreadful. You don't want to be deciphering that. Second reason, manually adding it is work that you don't need to do. Thirdly, data protection. Anybody new coming along can see all of those details, and that's not really appropriate. So I think a good way of doing it is having a QR code or a short link somewhere on your table. I think a QR code is the best way, because someone can get their phone, scan that QR code and literally sign up right in front of you. It's easy. Pretty much everyone knows how QR codes work now. Really, really simple. If somebody had a problem, you could say, oh, write your address down and I'll add it manually, because you can add people. So having some kind of way that people can sign up if they would like to. You can, of course, have multiple email lists. I will add this as an addendum. You might want to have, if you've got different genres, you might want different newsletters that look and feel different or promote different things. Or for instance, something I've thought about doing, but I don't do, I could at some point, is having a newsletter about my books and maybe a separate one aimed at teachers that's related to my author visits and to like anything specific to schools. So for instance, I could maybe put, if I offered a special deal for schools buying books versus customers, or something like that. Or maybe I could share like literacy tips or interesting links to things I've read. I don't know. I haven't done it, but I could. So if you want to be more specific in your targeting of your newsletter, you can have multiple. But of course, that means managing those things in terms of writing different bits of content, and these things take time. So think about what you want to have. How often do you want to do it? How many lists do you want to have and can you manage? And what do you want this newsletter to achieve, and what content do you want to put in there? So the reason this video is quite chatty is because there are so many variables. Essentially, you can do what you want, but it's a good idea to do it. And I really hope it helps your business. It's really useful to be like, hey, I've got a new book, pre-order it here. And that goes straight into the inbox of somebody who cares. So I hope that was helpful. Do hit like if it was. Leave me a comment if you have anything to add to these thoughts about newsletters. I hope this was helpful. I hope you set up brilliant, successful newsletters that are read by lots and lots of people and generate lots of business for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.